Thank you. Appreciate your hard work. All right, good evening. Before we begin, I'd like to remind everyone to please silence your cell phones. Council meetings are live streamed and are presented on the city's YouTube channel. I now call the April 1st, 2025 regular council meeting to order. All council members are present. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please read the consent minute approval titles.
Approving the minutes of March 18th, 2025 regular council meeting.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action items just read. Second. Moved by Councillor Gamroth, seconded by Councillor Bond. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
12 councillors voting aye, the motion passes.
Chair would entertain a motion to approve by minute action the April 1, 2025 bills and claims as audited by City Manager Napier.
So moved.
Moved by Councillor Pollock, seconded by Councillor Haskins. Any abstentions? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
12 councillors voting aye, the motion passes.
Thank you. At this time, I would like to welcome Mary Schroer, and other members of the Donor Alliance to the meeting tonight to discuss National Donate Life Month. So if you want to come forward, Ms. Schroer, and introduce yourselves and say a few words before I read the proclamation. Oh, perfect. Come on up. Thank you so much. Good evening.
Organ, eye, and tissue donor registration, consistently surpassing the national average of 47%. Last year, more than 53% of Wyomingites said yes when they received their driver's license or state ID. This April, during Donate Life Month, Donor Alliance, with the help of our advocate volunteers and the community, are flying flags and illuminating buildings as we honor the generosity of organ, eye, and tissue donors and their families, celebrating the lives of transplant recipients, and raising awareness for the nearly 150 people still awaiting life-saving transplants in Wyoming. Thousands more need life-saving healing tissue grafts. Tissue transplants provide hope for those suffering from injury, disease, trauma, or blindness. Donor Alliance has immense gratitude to the donors and their families who have made the choice to provide those life-saving and healing gifts. Last year, this generosity of 311 organ donors and their families provided 947 life-saving organ transplants, and more than 860 tissue donors provided more than 100,000 life-healing gifts. Thank you for supporting Donor Alliance as we raise awareness to the life-saving and healing gifts of organ, eye, and tissue donation.
Thank you. Now I'm going to have you come up back here. I don't want to read the proclamation, so if you want to come on up. Again, thank you for the work that you guys do in our communities and our state and around the country. We appreciate the life-giving that you give to so many people and a second chance for a lot. So thank you so very much. Now is the time that we invite in the audience anyone who wishes to speak with the council to come forward. This portion of the meeting is dedicated to the public to allow them time to discuss matters of public interest and to voice their concerns. I do want to add that mailings regarding the upcoming Westridge LAD Phase 2 project went out to citizens there would be a public comment period tonight. However, due to publication error, the public hearing will occur on May 6th, 2025. Any citizen who wishes to speak, if you're here tonight about the LAD, may do so now, but are encouraged to come back on the 6th as well to file a written complaint if you would like to. So if there's nobody here, you can come on up. You're coming to speak to the LAD, Mr. Schriftman? Nope, just yours. Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
Us information about the services in our community and events coming up and that kind of thing. The other part, which is kind of even more important, is for the public to engage with our elected officials. And I've always said that the ballot box is the first stop on your way to be involved. I was looking the other day at our city council, our city website, and on the page that, I didn't notice it because I'm always looking at what's on the agenda. At the top of the page for the meetings, it says, there is limited capacity at meetings and media will be given priority for seating. Public input via email is encouraged. And then it gives, of course, council comments at casperwide.gov. And you know, if you look around, usually on these meetings, sometimes I'm the only one that comes up and speaks. So messaging is important, and maybe that needs to be changed. I think we need to encourage people to come out to meetings. The other thing is on page 87 of the fiscal year, this fiscal year budget statement, it says budget process. It says public meetings and hearings. Several public meetings and a public hearing are held throughout budget preparation at council meetings. It also says council outreach meetings. These forums offer residents an opportunity to meet council and staff and become informed about issues. And I noticed that when we have the cities asking us to raise the sales tax, there are public programs and there's a mailing going out. But as I've mentioned before, I'm going to have a hearing or a public town hall on April 24th. I did send out, last meeting, there were several concerns, and I did send out an email on, I guess it was a week ago on Monday, addressing some of those concerns. So far, I've only heard from one member of council as far as whether to attend or not, and I look forward to your participation. I hope I've answered your questions on the way it's going to work. I want to make sure that everybody's respectful, everybody gets a chance to talk, and nobody's going to be able to talk like 3 or 4 times and dominate the meeting. And I've also hired security. So I look forward to your participation. And if you have any questions. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schriftman. Any others who wish to speak to the council from a comment? Nope. Okay. Any councilors want to briefly respond to anything that was brought up from Mr. Schriftman? Yep. Councilor Pollack.
Thank you. I think Mr. Schriftman's point, the first point is well taken. It's pretty rare that we have that we're not able to accommodate everybody who wants to come to a meeting, particularly now that we have, I think, a larger, a lot more seating in our work session room. So as we, I think many of us online encourage folks to come to the meetings. And so I think making sure that our website reinforces that messaging would be a good thing. So yeah, I would like to see if we could check that out. It should probably be an easy fix, I would think.
All right, thank you. Any others? Councillor Sweeney?
So I don't, on the meeting that Mr. Schriftman mentioned on the public forum, I don't know if we're far enough along in our budgeting process to have any information to share, but I'm not sure about that in the process. But and then I really wanted to thank the presentation for Donate Life, and would also mention that really to get that driver's license portion, former Senator Phil Nicholas and our former district attorney Blonigan really helped get that across the finish line with the legislature and get that so it would move forward. There was a lot of resistance, unfortunately, which I didn't understand, but and I also didn't know if Miss Mary had some Donate Life pins that she didn't know the appropriate time to hand out to council.
Good catch. Thank you, Mary. Is that all you have, Mr. Sweeney? Great. Councillor Pollack.
Thank you. One more thing. I had the same concerns as Councillor Sweeney. I don't think I will have seen a draft budget by that time, so it feels a little premature for me. But I also, I do think we have a lot of meetings that are available to the public around our budget process, but I'm not sure it's clear which ones they are outside of the passage of the budget. I think that we have a work session about capital. We have a work session about, we've had several about the priority-based budgeting and setting the priorities. And I wonder if there's a better way to flag some of those, really budget-intensive work sessions so that the public understands that those are the big meetings where we're really just discussing those things. I've been chatting with folks, folks are wanting to get involved, and when I tell them, that's a part of the process that we rarely hear anything about, and what I think is, one of the more important things that we do. Then they said, okay, well, when is that? And it's like, well, it's spread out over, 3 months. It's spread out over many meetings, and so it's quite difficult to pinpoint exactly for them, like, when can I get engaged in that process? And so I wonder if there's a way of communicating what that process is to the public, where the checkpoints are. I think we have that. Is like, here's the budget flow, the workflow of it. I wonder if there's a way to make that a little more public facing, or a way that, we can use that as a tool to help flag for folks when are those big budget conversations and the points of entry for them to get involved in that conversation. So.
It's a great point. Mr. City Manager, is that something we can maybe look at doing? So we know we have a pretty long process. We've been talking about it even for over close to 6, 7, 8 months anyway. It's a big process.
Right, Mr. Mayor, and I think the councilor's point is well taken. One of the things that the council may want to refer to, should those kinds of questions come up, before we implement something that might be a little more illustrative of the point, is the budget calendar that is published and is on the internet and so on the website. That is pretty prescriptive in terms of the various stops along the way that we have that lead up to the May work session, where that tends to be sort of the granddaddy of the budget meetings, that'd be one thing we could point to, but certainly if there's other things that council has in mind that we could do to make it again more exhibitive of these points along the way, we're happy to consider that. Perfect.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You bet.
Yeah, Councillor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Carter. You brought up the budget calendar. That's exactly what I had in mind. And do you recall exactly where at on the city website that may lie? Only because I'm there now and just struggling to find it. And I know if I'm struggling to find it, I won't be the only one. So do you know exactly where that lives?
And I would struggle, Mr. Mayor, to recite the path to find it right now. So let us get something back to you if we could. That
I think that's all we
that
need
task.
because the
Yeah.
budget calendar has that timeline of
Yep.
all of those. And so I think I don't, see the need to invest more time and resources in it. But if we could make that more easily accessible, I think that's a great goal. Thank you.
Thank you. And once we get that out to Mr. Schriftman, maybe it'd be helpful to get it, you have access to that and you can get it out to your contacts and things like that would be helpful. So great. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Okay, moving on. Council will now consider consent resolutions. Please read the consent resolutions by title only.
Item 7A1, authorizing amendment number 1 to the grant award agreement between the Wyoming Office of Homeland Security and City of Casper. Item 7A2, accepting a sanitary sewer easement from GHIG LLC as part of the North Platte Park number 2 sanitary and storm sewer improvements, project number 23-031. Item 7A3, authorizing the master service agreement between the City of Casper and Pictometry International Corp. DBA Ingleview for the 2025 high resolution imagery, LiDAR, and elevation flight campaign. Item 7A4, authorizing a contract for professional services with City and Civil Engineering Professionals Incorporated for design, bidding, and construction administrative services for the North Platte River Pedestrian Bridge, project number 24-007. Item 7A5, authorizing a contract for professional services with Civil Engineer Professionals Incorporated, CPI, for services for the North Casper Athletics and Recreation Complex Improvements, project number 24050. Item 7A6, authorizing an agreement with Ramshorn Construction Incorporated for the Wolf Creek Road improvements, West 38th Street to CY Avenue Row, Phase 2, project number 24-016. Item 7A7, authorizing letter of agreement number 2025-106 with the Drug Enforcement Administration for overtime reimbursement. Item 7A8, authorizing Amendment 3 to the loan agreement between the State Loan Investment Board and the City of Casper for State Revolving Fund Loan Number CWSRF number 027 for the Sam Hobbs Wastewater Treatment Plant Improvement Project. Item 7A9, authorizing Amendment 2 to the loan agreement between the State Loan Investment Board and the City of Casper for State Revolving Fund Loan Number DWSRF number 36 for the city's 2004 miscellaneous water main replacement project. Item 7A10, authorizing Amendment 2 to the loan agreement between the State Loan and Investment Board and the City of Casper for State Revolving Fund Loan Number DWSRF number 46 for the city's downtown reconstruction and 2005 miscellaneous water main replacement projects. Item 7A11, authorizing Amendment 2 to the loan agreement between the State Loan and Investment Board and the City of Casper for State Revolving Fund Loan Number DWSRF number 51 for the city's Public Utilities Automatic Meter Reading Program. Item 7A12, authorizing Amendment 2 to the loan agreement between the State Loan and Investment Board and the City of Casper for State Revolving Fund Loan Number DWSRF number 55 for the city's 2006 miscellaneous water main replacement project. Item 7A13, authorizing Amendment 2 to the loan agreement between the State Loan and Investment Board and the City of Casper for State Revolving Fund Loan Number DWSRF number 62 for the city's Zone 2 Phase 2 water transmission main project. Item 7A14, authorizing Amendment 4 to the loan agreement between the State Loan and Investment Board and the City of Casper for State Revolving Fund Loan Number DWSRF number 89 for the city's 2004 miscellaneous water main replacement project. Item 7A15, authorizing Amendment 2 to the loan agreement between the State Loan and Investment Board and the City of Casper for State Revolving Fund Loan Number CWSRF number 148 for the Baylor Building Renovation Expansion Project at the Casper Regional Solid Waste Facility. Item 7A16, authorizing Amendment 3 to the loan agreement between the State Loan and Investment Board and the City of Casper for the State Revolving Fund Loan Number CWSRF number 127 for the wastewater treatment plant Phase 1 upgrades projects. Item 7A17, authorizing Amendment 2 to the loan agreement between the State Loan and Investment Board and the City of Casper for State Revolving Fund Loan Number CWSRF number 77 for the Central Wyoming Regional Landfill. Item 7A18, authorizing a procurement agreement with Spec Seats International Corp. for Ford Wyoming Center Portable Folding Chairs, project number 23-026. Item 7A19, authorizing a lease agreement with Casper Skeet Club for the lease and operation of the Casper Skeet Club facility. Item 7A20, authorizing amendment number 1 to the contract for professional services between the City of Casper and Raffles Financial Consultants Incorporated for the Water and Sewer Utility Rate Study Project.
How did you end up having to get that one? Okay, the chair would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda items just read. Moved by Councilor Bond, seconded by Councilor Jensen. Mr. City Manager, would you like to comment on any of these items?
Okay.
Any abstentions or nay votes? Councilor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to abstain from item 7A6, and I'd like to vote no on 7A7. Otherwise, I'm gonna vote yes for the rest.
Any other abstentions? Councilor Pollock.
I'd like to vote no on item 7A7.
Any other abstentions or nay votes? Okay. Please cast your vote. Mr. Sweeney. There you go. Thank you. Please record the vote.
With Councilor Gamroth abstaining on item 7A6 and Councilor Gamroth and Pollock voting nay on 7A7, all others voting aye, the motion passes.
Please read the consent minute action titles.
Item A81, authorizing the payment of 1 cent 17 funds to the Casper Shooters Club for parking lot improvements at the Stuckenhoff Shooters Complex. Item A82, authorizing the purchase of 12 new foam-filled loader tires installed on 3 separate loaders in the total amount of $104,457.12 for use by the Solid Waste Division for the Public Services Department.
Thank you. The chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent minute action agenda items just read.
So moved.
Which one was it? That was like silent. Was that you? Oh, okay. Moved by Councilor Pollock, seconded by Councilor Sweeney. Any abstentions or nay votes? Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
At this time, we would ask councilors to bring forward any relevant concerns or items of interest or any updates. Why don't we start with Councilor Haskins?
Both of the meetings that I had requested have been scheduled. Thank you to Carter and your staff. And I don't actually have anything else other than the meetings I asked for that I got. So I'm good. Thanks.
Awesome. Councilor Sweeney.
So thank you, Mayor. So on March 19th, I attended the one MPO meeting at the Yellowstone Garage, or Old Yellowstone Garage. I thought that was really informative, wish more people would turn out for those events. March 25th, after we left the work session, Kyle and I went out to the Radiant manufacturing plant community meeting out in Bar None. Very well attended. I thought a lot of great questions, and there wasn't a question that Radiant ducked or didn't have an answer for. I think that could be a tremendous facility for the entire Natrona County. So look forward to continuing to work with them to make sure that happens. Then the following night, attended on behalf of Advanced Casper, another open house with Radiant. And then the 27th, I attended a town hall meeting that Representative Alaman, Lean, Riggins, and Tony Locke had. And I brought up specifically House Bill 212, which were the local sales and use tax amendments that they had brought forward out of 6 representatives, well, 4 representatives from here, and then 2 senators from Natrona County were on that bill. Only 2 were from outside the county that were on it, but basically that would have it repealed what we were successful with on 4 projects for the specific purpose tax. And so my question was, what was the need? Why? I couldn't stay much past the answers that they gave, but mostly it was the one that I heard loud and clear was because county residents couldn't vote on it. I don't think they understood that we went to the communities and asked them if they had 6 cent desires before we tried to move forward with anything. But that was unfortunate. And the other thing that I was told out of that meeting, which I'm concerned about, which goes into effect July 1st, and I believe city attorney and city manager are already working on it, is basically the repeal of gun-free zones, and you can pack and carry any place you want. So one of the comments that I heard was one of the representatives is looking forward to coming here and walking in just with no parameters set. So I look forward to whatever policies we might come up with on that. And I hope we're not going to totally eliminate the magnetron or whatever the device is called over this, but because I don't think knives are covered or other machetes or other weapons. And I think there is some parameters set by state statute on concealed carry. So we'll look forward to that. And then we also had the Hall of Justice meeting, and I'll let the Vice Mayor talk about that.
Awesome. Councilor Gamroth.
Thank you, Mayor. And yeah, as Councilor Sweeney stated, we both attended that town hall last week. It was a couple hours long, pretty long. Like you said, very well attended. I think about 170 people or so. I would encourage folks, if you have questions, I'm sure Councilor Sweeney would make himself available. I would certainly make myself available. I made a post on my Kyle Gamroth Casper City Council Ward 2 Facebook page where I took many of the questions that were asked that evening. So I would encourage folks, if you weren't able to attend or if you'd like additional information, there was a Cowboy State Daily article about it. There was an Oil City News article about it. And again, I answered many of those questions on my Facebook page. And you know, you can see the handout that they handed out at the event. And I saw Representative Lean also made a pretty comprehensive post as well. So definitely a lot of places to get answers to the questions you might have had if you were able to attend. But it sounds like they'll be back in the area many times. You know, the the scope of this project, the timeline for this project is pretty long term. And so lots of opportunities to engage with them. If you'd like to interact with them yourself, I'd encourage you to stay aware of those future public meeting opportunities, and I'll certainly do my best to make them known here and again on my Facebook page. And then the only other thing I have is we did recently part ways with our executive director at the Downtown Development Authority. So you will be see that publishing in the news and on their socials here in the next couple weeks. So if you know anyone that you think would be a great ambassador, representative for that area, please let them know and encourage them to apply. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Jensen. Awesome. Councilor Bond.
Thank you, Mayor. Not too much, just I will be attending the Youth Mental Health Collaborative. It's a extended work session tomorrow from 3:30 to 6:30. And so I'm anxious to look forward or to hear what the ideas that come forward around third spaces for youth. But and pleased to see that there is some collaboration occurring with DC Martinez and the Blue Heart Collaborative. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Councilor Larson.
I don't have anything. Thank you.
Councilor Pollock.
Thank you. I attended the legislative town hall that Councilor Sweeney was referencing. After he left, there were quite a few more questions, probably an hour's worth or so. I asked about property tax plans for the coming sessions. That was a big topic this session. We're looking at July 1 seeing a property tax exemption that will be impacting our budgets, as I think you have heard us talk about several times at this point. And definitely was indicated that that is not sort of the end of the discussion about property tax. There is continued work going on through the interim, and I would say ambitions to reform more broadly property tax. So I guess I would just say don't anticipate that conversation dies down anytime soon. I think it will still be continuing, still be lively, and I will be following it closely, as I'm sure many folks up here will. And then I also asked a question about data that was referenced in the part of the presentation, data that was referenced as the foundation for some of the priorities this session. Hoping to get a hold of some of the data, to be able to get a better sense of what the methodology of the data gathering was, what the sample size was, what some of the the fuller picture of what the responses were from folks around the state, and haven't been able to see that yet. It's indicated to me that the 4 folks there did not recall where that data came from. So I hope they can find it. That's a little concerning to me if they don't. So I think data is good if it's good data, and data, it depends a lot on who paid for it and what the method was and how was it deployed across our community. And so I'm hopeful that I'll be able to get a hold of that data and understand it better, but I haven't seen it yet. So certainly happy to update if I do see it. And on the spec tax note, today's April 1st. So my understanding is that that collection has begun. So for the next year and a half or so, we will be working on raising the funds for the 4 projects that were passed by the voters of Casper. So, really excited to see some of those projects come to fruition and be able to start being realized in the community. So don't forget to collect 6 cents and not 5. And yeah, just looking forward to seeing the progress that we're able to achieve in the next year and a half or so.
Thank you. Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As Pat said, we had our Hall of Justice Joint Powers Board meeting today. For those of you who are not aware, the city rents space at the Hall of Justice from the county, so we have a Joint Powers Board to discuss all the needs over there. You sit in on that meeting, you discover why it is that we desperately need a new building for our police department. There's a lot of maintenance issues, places falling apart. So we discussed all of those, some of the upcoming expenses that we're going to have with that. It's also we discussed detention center, which also we have to always keep up on the maintenance there as per federal and state guidelines on the prisoners. So can't slack on that. So there's some maintenance issues coming up there as well that we'll have to attend to. And we had a fantastic trip to Washington, even though Tom Brower and I were both told we were too big to ride in the back of the Uber. We had to sit up front. It was, we got to see a lot of government entities and people with the federal government. Just had some great discussions over a lot of things that are going on, some of the grants that have been put on hold, and hopefully we'll get some of those grants back. So all in all, it was a good trip, and I think very successful. So that's all I've got.
Thank you. I've got several items tonight. First, upcoming, I have the rec board meeting on Friday at noon. So I will be attending that meeting with the at the school district. Also on Monday, we will be swearing in, how many police do we have, Chief? 2? Is it 2? Yeah. So I'll be swearing in 2 police officers on Monday morning. So I'm very much looking forward to that. Tomorrow, I'll be swearing in some Civil Service Commission members, 3 of them. So I'll be doing that tomorrow at 1 o'clock. So looking forward to that. I wanted just to thank Councillor Pollock for filling in for me last week while I was at DC. I appreciate it. It sounded like it was a productive, quick meeting that was razor, just like on target. And speaking of DC, yes, it was a fantastic trip, quick, but it was a very good trip to be able to go down and talk to our delegation, to have meaningful conversations and dialogue around things that we need in our communities, particularly infrastructural needs, things that are based around what we can do to update our aging infrastructure, the importance of our police department. We met with the Department of Justice to continue to support our fire and our police, to what we are able to do with that. And so it was incredibly important work that we did, quick, but it was also a good opportunity to spend some time and work with an amazing staff that we have, and being able to be with the vice mayor to do that. Overall, as the vice mayor said, it was very, very, very productive and beneficial to the city of Casper. Let's see, where am I at on my notes? Oh, and so I wanted to thank Carla for filling in. I'm sorry you had to do 20 in a row like that. I have not seen that happen for some time. So thank you for doing that. I appreciate you taking that. A couple things that I wanted to bring up really quickly and get the approval of the council to see if we could do this. One, we are looking at, well, the health department. You may have seen there was an email from Anna about the pending cuts. They were coming from some of the stuff that had happened from the administration. And so we know that they're coming down to roughly about 1.5 million. Anna had asked us to write a letter of support. Is that correct, Mr. City Manager? Okay, and so just in the sense of that they need support of just making sure there's no financial obligation from the city, but support, and that we need, they need help navigating this and the support of the city. Is that correct?
Mr. Mayor, they're concerned that the absence of those funds will impact their operations, and so they wanted to get the mayor and the council's acknowledgement of that issue in partnership with the county.
Perfect. Thank you. That makes sense. Just a kind of a letter of support. Is council okay with that happening and my signature on there? Councilor Sweeney.
So there's 2 parts to that. One's about 1.5. Yes. The other's another 460,000.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
Out of general estate COVID funds, but that they had already budgeted in and figured on. So yeah, I and if we could get the county at the same time, but I don't know how much use it'll be, but at least we've tried to be supportive.
Yeah, the importance, I think, is being able to support them, letting them know we stand behind them. So everybody's okay with that. I just thought I saw some thumbs up. Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that. The other thing is that we're looking at a letter also. So it looks like they are thinking about removing the tax exemption for municipal bonds, which could affect us. I know WHAM is worried about that. We obviously don't want that because it can affect quite a bit as far as private business. You want to explain maybe a little bit more than that for me, Carter?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The basic concern is that there is some dialogue afoot at the national level that would suggest removing the tax exempt status for municipal bonding, which does affect cities and towns throughout the country, as well as Wyoming. When it comes to the attractiveness as municipal bonding as a tool for cities and towns, and the benefit that potential investors would gain by having that exemption removed being in question should this happen. And so the request is that the mayor weigh in on a letter to the delegation that would say, hey, please be aware that there's a dear colleague letter coming forward that we'd like you to sign on to. And that essentially would be the request, with the hope that this move would be reconsidered and potentially not occur.
Does everybody understand that fairly well? Okay. Is everybody okay with me doing that? A letter? Okay. If you want further clarification, that's why I rely on Carter. He's like, I think this is what we're doing, right? And so he takes care of it for me. Thank you. Appreciate it. I think that's all I have. The next meeting of the City Council will be a work session to be held on Tuesday, April 8th at 4:30 p.m. and a regular council meeting to be held at 6 p.m. on April 15th. A notice of an executive session to take place at this date and time during this meeting was given. We have personnel matters to discuss. The chair would entertain a motion to adjourn into an executive session. And at the conclusion of that executive session, to reconvene this regular meeting solely for the purposes of adjournment of the regular meeting. Moved by the Vice Mayor, seconded by Councillor Pollock. There are a majority of councillors present and a motion to adjourn into an executive session has been moved and seconded. This motion requires a 2/3 majority of the council present. Please cast your vote. Please record the vote.
With all councilors voting aye, the motion passes.
A greater than 2/3 majority of the council present voted in favor of the motion. We are hereby adjourned into an executive session. Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.